Welcome back to Live on Stage. I'm your host, Lucio Fernandez. Muy buenas noches a todos. Bienvenidos a nuestro programa de televisión Live on Stage o en vivo y en escena conmigo, Lucio Fernandez, su anfitrión. Y esta noche aquí tenemos un programa especial porque tenemos una persona que se llama Jon D'Amore que se crió en Union City, un tipo que trabajó con la mafia, un italiano, una gente maleante, tiene historias cómicas. El tipo está loco, pero vamos en su música también. Escribió un libro, toca música, ya no vive en Union City, lo votaron de Union City, no mentira, no lo votaron de Union City, vive en California, por allá, no sé dónde, pero ya no vive aquí, pero tiene una historia comiquísima, un tipo bastante buena gente. Yo estoy diciendo eso porque me amenazó la vida, porque era maleante, trabajaba con la mafia, toda esa cosa. No, mentira. Yes, we have right here on Live on Stage tonight, Jon D'Amore. He was raised in Union City. Now he no longer lives in Union City. He's a nice guy. I have to say he's a nice guy because he threatened my life because he worked with the mob back in the 60s and 70s. I don't know when I don't even know how old he is. Maybe I'm just making this stuff up. But he wrote this book. It's a great book. He's going to be talking about the book. He's going to be playing music with Mike Boldt, a great musician who wrote the Union City theme song called Union City. It's a great show tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, check this out. And listen, I know Jon D'Amore talks a lot, but he's a nice guy. Just listen to him. Encourage him. He's a nice guy. What the heck? Let's support the guy. Let him speak. What? He's going to beat me up when he sees this? Yeah, but if I let Jon talk, then he won't threaten me anymore because, I'm afraid of the guy. He seems like a nice guy, but he's violent. I can see it. I can see he's violent. No, I'm just joking, right? It's just that the director's directing me in the wrong way. She's telling me to do things that or say things I don't want to say. I don't want to tell you guys the truth about Jon D'Amore, so I'm just going to say he's a nice guy. I like the guy. He's a musician. He's an author. And he's right here on Live on Stage. If I don't come back next week, please call the cops and tell them I was on this show with Jon D'Amore, okay? Check this out. Go check out Jon D'Amore and return to me. Peace out, people. Peace out.
We're going to do that for you right now. It's just a fun little thing we're going to do. We hope it sounds good, and thanks for being here and tolerating us for the next 4 minutes. And the breeze feels good and the birds sing their love songs. With the coming night, all feels right. Nothing we can do can be wrong. Can you feel the sun go down? Can you feel the sun go down? Feel the sun go down. It makes me feel like I'm not really there. And when we kiss, I feel the sun shining in your hair. Can you feel the sun go down? Can you feel the sun go down? Feel the sun go down. And when we kiss, it makes me feel like I'm not really there. And when we love, I see the light shining in your hair. Can you feel the sun go down? Can you feel the sun go down? Feel the sun go down. Can you feel the sun go down? Can you feel the sun go down? Feel the sun go down. Can you feel the sun go down? Can you feel the sun go down? Feel the sun go down. Can you feel the sun go down? Can you feel the sun
sun go down. Feel the sun, feel the sun go down. Can you feel the sun go down? Can you feel the sun go down? Feel the sun go down. Can you feel the sun go down? Can you feel the sun go down? Ed Canova on bass, Mike Boldt on guitar, me and memories. Thank you. So, good evening to my new and my old friends and fans of the boss, and to members of my family and my Union City family. I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for being here tonight. I really do. Here in the city of my birth and where I had some of the best times and hold many, many great memories. First, I'd like to tell you some of those memories from the first 12 years of my life here in Union City. For the first 7, we lived in apartment 3B, a 3-room apartment at 727 25th Street on the corner of Summit Avenue, that big red apartment house. It's right across from where Roosevelt Stadium used to be. The next 5 years, we were at 4118 42nd Street, right on the corner of Bergen Line Avenue. Most of my Union City memories revolve around 2 things: my friends and my family. And as a very young child, I do remember one thing. Bill Musto was the mayor of Union City. Besides me and my parents, I had 4 grandparents, 8 aunts, 8 uncles, and 19 cousins who lived in Union City. 25th and 42nd Streets may have been my neighborhoods, but Union City was my universe. Everything I wanted and needed was here. Members of my family were always close by. I had public school teachers I remember and still quote to this day. And the friendships I formed from kindergarten to 7th grade that are still some of my dearest friends. Other important memories, when I think about Union City, when I lived here, I even wrote about it in the book, Seeing Elvis Presley on the Ed Sullivan Show in 1956. Hearing Chuck Berry's Johnny Be Good on our kitchen Westinghouse radio in 1958. That was the song that actually inspired me to play the guitar. Walking to Robert Waters School all by myself or with my friend Anthony Dragona in 1959. Alan Shepard flying into space in 1961, buying my first record in whole thousands in 1962. The assassination of President Kennedy in 63. The Beatles on the Ed Sullivan Show in 1964, and going to the 1965 World's Fair with my classmates from Washington School. The countless double features and cartoons at the Lincoln Theater. My first guitar lesson, and my first schoolyard kiss. All here, all in Union City. They were all great times, and Bill Musto was still mayor of Union City. On May 24, 2012, I stood right here and gave one of the first readings of the boss when Mayor Stack approached the podium and awarded me that proclamation Lucio told you about, naming that day Jon D'Amore Day. I remember wishing all of the members of my family that are no longer with us were here to see it, especially my father Rocky, my uncle Gil, and my godfather Jerry. 2 years later, again in this same spot, just like Lucio said, I was presented in 2014 with the Union City Artist Award, where I got to meet Mike Boldt. And again, I just want to thank Mike and Ed for being here to come here and do this with me and just amuse me. And I certainly hope we entertain them. And like I said, you can hear Mike's full version on the CD that we give away with each copy of the book. So, but now, let's get to the boss. First, I apologize, especially to people in my family, if you've heard this opening before. But it's important, and it's worth repeating. And it's also for those who've never heard it before. I'll start with a few words about what caused this story to be written and why it's so important to me, and it's so important to a rapidly disappearing generation and culture. From an early age, I was taught the meaning of the word respect. And foremost, that respect was to be shown to my family. My parents, grandparents, aunts and uncles, and my many, many cousins. Of course, at that time, I had no idea that respect and family would lead to such unbelievable events during a certain slice of my life. There were two very important men in that life, my father and my oldest cousin, who at my baptism became my godfather. I had no idea how strong the bond with these two men would become, besides having the D'Amore family blood running through us. It was a bond that was linked to a culture we were raised within. A culture that came with a code of ethics, rules, love, honor, and as always, respect. I'd eventually learn that adhering to this code could provide one with security, safety, and the respect of those around you. I also learned that to stray from this code could cause one to disappear faster than the time it would take to eat a slice of pizza. I knew these people were unique to our society, and I believed they needed to be written about. They needed to be immortalized. The only problem was these people didn't like to be written about, but they all loved the idea of being immortalized. It's with this in mind that I present the opener for The Boss Always Sits in the Back. It's a very short chapter titled, Huh? It's for those who don't have a clue as to the kind of culture I was just talking about. It's to fill them in on a few things they need to know in order to understand what it's like to grow up Italian in Hudson County, New Jersey, during the great eras of the 1950s, 60s, and 70s. And because there's a lot of new friends here tonight, I'll follow that up with the first chapter, and for those who've heard that one before, I've picked a pretty cool section out just for you. Oh, and you've heard this before, but in keeping with the theme of The Boss, should you decide to buy a copy, don't worry about the taxes, I'll take care of it. And now, The Boss Always Sits in the Back. Huh? Like all children, I was influenced by the things around me during the formative years. Some children grew up in a family of doctors, lawyers, investment bankers, owners of small and large businesses, police chiefs, insurance salesmen, stockbrokers, corporate executives, or small town and big city politicians. If something went wrong in their family, they usually blamed it on families like mine, or they came to families like mine for help. In my immediate family, there were no doctors, lawyers, investment bankers, and so on. This is my story based on actual events of living on the...
So we're here with the man himself, Jon D'Amore, the guy I spoke so well about in the introduction. He is my buddy, my compadre, my amigo, my paisan, the one and only Jon D'Amore, who traveled all the way across the country to just come and see little me. He didn't even give me one of his books, nothing, not a single book. I haven't got a book. He didn't give me a CD. I didn't get one of his hot sauces, nothing. He's just here reaping the rewards. I had to buy 5 of his books for my family because he wouldn't give me a little book. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, we have Jon D'Amore here in Union City. Jon D'Amore, welcome back to Union City.
Thank you, my friend. Thank you so much. It's wonderful seeing you.
Tell us, you're from Union City. Were you born here or raised here?
I was born here. I was born on, we lived on the corner of 25th Street and Summit Avenue in that big red brick apartment house. It was a great place to live because right across the street from us at that time, we're talking about in the mid-50s, mid-1950s, right across the street from where I was living for the first 7 years of my life was the biggest backyard anyone could ever have. It was called Roosevelt Stadium, and it's where I just had wonderful memories and wonderful times of playing with my friends. I went to grammar school about 3 or 4 blocks away, right on Summit Avenue, Robert Waters, and I've made friends then that are still some of my greatest friends now, and they all came from Union City. Granted, we may have all moved away at some point, but we all have one thing in common. We all came from here, we all love that we came from here, and we all come back here as often as we can.
Now, Jon, you were raised here, but now you live in the West Coast, and you wrote this. You're a musician, you're an author, you wrote this great book. Tell us a little bit about what inspired you, or why do you feel a need to write this book?
Well, you know, that's a very good question, and a lot of it has to do with the fact that there is a wonderful fascination in America with all things mafia. America has a romantic love affair with that culture. And there are some terrible things that happened from the people and to the people of that culture. There's no doubt about it. But the fact remains that it is part of American culture, and without a doubt, the nationality, the Italian nationality that I grew up in. But what a lot of people don't understand, maybe especially if they didn't grow up in that area at that time, in that culture, was that what we learned from it was a deep, deep-rooted respect for the people around us, not just the people in our family, but the people in our community, the people who we lived around. They were as important to us as our immediate families. They were part of the community, and that was what made us who we are and what we are. And again, I really believe that the things that I was raised with and the things that I do for people isn't because I want anything out of it other than because they're people and they deserve the respect all people deserve. And that came from here in Union City. And not just from my family, absolutely not just from my family, but it came from the teachers who taught me. So I went to school from kindergarten through the 7th grade in Union City, and all of those teachers, I could tell you all of their names, and I could probably quote you things that they taught me when I was 6 to 12 years old.
Now, from beginning to end, from the inspiration to publishing, how long did it take you to put this book together?
Well, that's another good question. I mean, the inspiration actually started when the story itself started in 1975, when I saw what these people were doing, and was actually involved in one of the things that they were doing simply because someone in my family asked me to participate. And I trusted this person, and they made sure that I was safe. So you could say in 1975, I knew that a story needed to be written. I had no idea how much that story would grow from 1975 to 1999, and it was in 1999, after my godfather passed away, that I was able to write that story. And it took about 1.5 years, 2 years to really hone the manuscript to make it perfect. And then of course, life got in the way, business got in the way, and I waited until 2012 before I released the book.
Now, the book has been very well received. You do book signings all over the place and presentations, and you talk about the book, you tell stories, anecdotes, and you read from the book. So it's been very successful. And we're going to hear about those stories and your anecdotes later on the show. But now, you're also going to play music tonight on the show. Tell us a little bit about your music background.
Well, that came again here in Union City when I was 7 years old. 3 years before, 2.5 years before the Beatles got here. Though I loved them greatly, they were not the impetus that made me want to play the guitar. What made me want to play the guitar was a song that I heard in 1958 by Chuck Berry called Johnny Be Good. It was a song about a guy named Johnny who played the guitar, and he became a star. And when I was a kid, that just resonated with me. So around I would say 1960, my dad got me a guitar, and I took lessons in a little music store on 30th Street, just, let's see, I guess that would be just west of Bergenline Avenue. And every Saturday morning, either my mom or my dad took me to this little guitar store, and I took lessons, and every day I practiced. And you know, the obvious things happened. I just wasn't some kid who was strumming a guitar. I actually knew how to read music. By the time I was 10 years old, 11 years old, most kids, especially after the Beatles came, all went out and bought guitars, but they really didn't know what they were doing. A lot of them didn't take lessons. So I, at that point, had already been about 3 years ahead of them, 4 years ahead of them. And it just made things better. As I went into high school, even though I was a freshman and sophomore, I was playing with the seniors and people who had already graduated in bands, because I had that talent that I learned here in Union City. And I grew as a professional musician, and you know, it was a great time. The 60s was a fantastic time to absorb music. The 70s was a fantastic time to perform music. And it led to some of the greatest times of my life. And because I did work in recording studios at that time, it's what was one of the main points of the book, where I was actually able to save the New Jersey mob boss from going to jail because of my knowledge of recording studio techniques and editing, audio editing at the time.
Great segue. With that said, let's go see or hear Jon D'Amore, the author, or the boss, always sits in the back, accompanied by Mike Boldt, do a little bit of his music. Check this out. But before we go, listen, you know, if you hear anything else in the show that the director might want me to say, you know, take it with a grain of salt. The director of the show is a little wacko, so, you know, she might guide me to say certain things about you that may not be true, so don't think it's me, because you know how I am. I'm a straightforward guy, and I support you, and I love you to death. We're like,
but he's going to say
like
things
family.
that may not be true.
No, it's not me. It's the
director.
I'm strong-armed.
Why don't you do this? Have the director talk to me.
Okay, all right. That can solve a lot of problems.
That's right.
Anyway, check Jon D'Amore out. People,
thank you,
come back to me. Peace out. What a show, man. We had Jon D'Amore on this show on Live on Stage. Jon D'Amore, he traveled across the country to be here with me on Live on Stage. He just had this great book presentation at the William V. Mustard Cultural Center, otherwise known as the Union City Museum. It was great. It was a packed house. People asked questions. Some people asked too many questions, but they were asking questions, and he was loving it, because the guy loves to talk. He loves to talk. This is the last time I'm going to say it. He loves to talk. I don't care if he kills me. The guy loves to talk. And I love the guy because he tells great stories that people were laughing in the house, they were cracking up. They're funny, man. The guy's funny. And he's got great information. He's got historical information about Union City, about Hudson County. And the guy's cool. He's a cool author. He's a cool musician. He's a cool guy. And the guy's just plain cool. Sí, este tipo Jon D'Amore, aunque ustedes no entendieron ni nada ni pizca, porque el tipo habla inglés con un acento italiano, pero el tipo es súper buena gente, buen escritor, buen músico, buena gente, y lo tuvimos aquí en vivo y en escena porque viajó desde California para estar aquí con nosotros en este programa de televisión. Esa es la importancia de este programa, caballero. Por eso tenemos las estrellas que tenemos en este programa. Well, what are you talking about? I'm not going to talk to you about this. Listen, we have internal fighting right here between the cameraman, the producer, the director. It's not tough. It's not easy doing this show that I do every week. It's not easy. I gotta, you know, these personalities, the camera guy with the producer, with the director, they're always fighting over who's going to get the biggest hot dog. Doesn't really matter what hot dog you eat, as long as you get a hot dog. Hey, that's all we can afford for, you know, craft services in this show. That's all I can get. That's all the producer gives me. That's all I can get. 3 hot dogs that has to be shared by 3 people because they don't give me any. Anyway, Jon D'Amore right here on Live on Stage. Why am I talking about hot dogs when we have this Italian guy here, Jon D'Amore, talking about his book, about his music, about his anecdotes, about growing up in Union City, the best city in the whole, forget the state of New Jersey, in the whole country. Union City is the most densely populated city in the whole country, in the whole United States, but it's also the coolest city. You got to discover Union City, New Jersey. It's cool, it's hip, And Jon D'Amore came out of here. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, me tengo que ir porque ya no puedo más. Me están cortando, me quieren que me vaya porque no sirvo. Dice que no sirvo de anfitrión, pero sigo aquí hablando bobería. Yo soy Lucio Fernandez. Nos vemos la próxima vez. Till next time, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Lucio Fernandez. Hasta la vista, baby. Call me, call me, call me, call me.